Hi, my name is Nikki. I'm the Obsessive Bookseller, and welcome to my channel. Today, I would like to show you my highest priority unread books in my physical collection. I just did a ramble video explaining how I reorganized the section and allocated everything from highest priority to lowest priority. And now I'm going to share the actual titles that have made the #1 spots and the books I am most looking forward to getting to. If you see something in here that you think I should bump up the priority list, please let me know. This is going to be a little bit of a rapid fire because I have a lot of titles to get through and I don't want to keep you here for 10 hours. First, and not a surprise to anyone, are my Abercrombie books. I have his most recent trilogy and then I have his young adult trilogy. And these are by far my #1 priorities, and I'm already currently reading this one. The Malazan series by Steven Erikson. I am currently reading this one. I know these books are probably going to be on there for another couple of years because they take me forever to read, but they are priority #2. Next is Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shian McGuire. Tor, my favorite publisher, sent me an advance copy of this. It's the 7th book in the series, and I have not read it yet. It's been on my radar, and you know, when Tor sends you a book, you put it on your high priority list, so I'm going to be reading that one soon. Next, one of my all-time favorite authors, Anthony Ryan, has a couple of novellas. It's trilogy. I only have 2 books so far, but this is definitely a high priority. I keep thinking, how can it possibly be a story that I'm going to love when they're so short? Because it doesn't give you a lot of time to immerse in it. But then I remember that the Murderbot Diaries are about this length and absolutely love those, so really excited for these. The Second Son series by Jennifer Fallon. I read Lion of Senate a few years ago but never made time to continue, and I was really loving this series, so I've bumped it up the priority list, and depending on how this one goes, I may bump the rest of her series up as well. More books by Anthony Ryan. These are continuations to his Bloodsong Valen series, and I have not read these yet. So when you find an author that really works for you, read all the things. And one I haven't heard talked about often, Inda by Sherwood Smith. I've had these forever. My Goodreads group did a buddy read for them a few years ago, and quite a few people loved it and consider it one of their favorite series now. And I have these gorgeous hardcovers. I've got the whole series. And it's one of those character-rich, kind of immersive stories, kind of like Malazan, but probably not to that degree. And I've been putting off reading them because I know it's going to take a lot more concentration, but really excited for these. Continuing with Project Dritz. These are just a couple of the titles I haven't read yet. I put the series down about 5 years ago and then just recently picked it back up. And when I put it down, I was up to date with the series, maybe 2 or 3 books behind, but now I'm like 10 to 15 books behind, so I have some catching up to do. Book 3 in the Risen Kingdom series by Curtis Craddock. The first one is An Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors, and it's kind of a really cool take on the Three Musketeers, kind of a futuristic, really wild world-building setting, and a lot of politics. This is one of the most unique series I've ever read, and haven't read the latest book yet. Tad Williams with The Dragonbone Chair. One of the few classic fantasy writers I have not tried anything from yet, and based on a lot of your recommendations, I think I'm really going to like it. The Vlad Talto series by Stephen Brust. I am currently embarking on a massive buddy read project with a couple of people at Fantasy Buddy Reads on Goodreads. That was a mouthful. There's like over 15 books in the series, but they're short. This one is a compilation of 3 of them. It has been really fun so far. We're reading about a chapter a day, and we are just on the very first installment right now. We're going chronologically as opposed to based on publication order. More Jennifer Fallon books, because she is really working for me lately. A couple of series that I haven't read from her yet. A few books from Cameron Hurley. These are science fiction. I have read Mirror Empire, just the first book in her fantasy series, And a couple of people have told me that I will probably like the sci-fis even more. And she is an incredibly creative, challenging the status quo writer so far for me. So I can't wait to see what else she has in store. Continuing the Stardock series by S.L. Veal. These are kind of space opera stories, a little bit older, but she's essentially an alien doctor. I love science fictions where they get really creative with alien creations. The second book left me a little wanting with the plot. It was kind of all over the place, so I'm hoping that I will like the continuation. There's like 10 books in the series, and I have them. I have here books 2 and 3 in the Winds of Calicovo series. This one is really compelling me. I have read the first book in his Shattered Sand series and didn't love it, but yeah, this one is calling to me. The House of Khmer series by Kristen Painter. This is kind of a random urban fantasy that I started years ago but never continued on. And actually, I will be featuring it and a ton of other urban fantasy titles in an upcoming video about my urban fantasy project. The only Rift War books from Feist that I have not read, probably because they were co-written. I was thinking they wouldn't be as good, but I don't know why I think that. They've always gotten good reviews, and there are a few people who jumped out of the woodworks to tell me that Jimmy the Hand is one of their favorites in the entire Rift War saga, so I will be giving these a shot soon. My favorite writer, Robin Hobb, has a lesser-known trilogy, The Soldier's Son. Yeah, that's right. I started this one on audio a few years ago, but I just could not stand the narrator. He made everything sound like a question, and it was really annoying because there were no questions being asked. Yeah, I had to put it down. So this one will be a physical read for me. A couple more urban fantasy series. I have the Suki Stackhouse by Charlene Harrison. I read the first one years ago, well before the show came out, and thought it was cute, you know, but I am in the mood for something cute with a little bit higher writing quality than the ones I have been reading. So hopefully these will fit the bill. And then Devin Monk, who I really like. I recently read the first couple of books in the Age of Steam steampunk series that she wrote. And years ago, I dabbled in this. It's the Allie Beckstrom series. They don't have covers, but I liked it. But it was back when I was trying like the first book of every series, it felt like, and didn't have the attention span to continue on, even if I liked them. This is one of those, so hoping they're good. Blake Charleston and a book called Spellwright. I don't even know what this series is called, but I think there's 3 books, and yeah, very compelling cover. And it has an endorsement from Robin Hobb, so that's always a good start. And I know nothing about it, but it looks like an awesome new thing to explore. Down the list, more Bradley Beaulieu, and continuing the Shattered Sand series. Absolutely love these covers. I think if the covers were ugly, I wouldn't even be thinking about continuing the series, but I love them so much that I want to love the actual stories as well. And it had a lot going for it, and the specific issues I had were with pacing and an overall immature feel to the story, both of which are things that won't necessarily carry on through the rest of the series. I'm still hopeful. The Shadow Campaign series by Django Wexler, and these are pretty far down the line, but I think I might move them up because I've been more and more interested in reading them. I like the author. I've read the first book in his latest series, and it was really good. And this is one of the few glaring series that I haven't at least tried yet that's been written over the last 10 years. Along with Project Dritz, I have the complete War of the Spider Queen series sitting waiting to be read. It's another one of those that was co-written. I'm a little wary. I'm just not sure if I'm going to like them, but the Underdark and Menzoberranzan are my favorite settings of the Forgotten Realms, and I would love to dig more into the politics. I'm hoping it gets pretty gritty. so we shall see. I'd like to continue the Queen of Rinthia series. I read the first one and quite liked it, and I have a fondness for the author from her Race the Sand book. Love that one. The Spine of the Dragon by Kevin Anderson. I've been eager to pick up anything from him, and hopefully it's about dragons. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'm only going to do a couple more shelves because I could easily just go through the whole collection this way, but just a few more. And King of Ashes is on the list, and this is really far down the priority list so far, but my book club picked it, so I will be bumping it up to the top priority list now. It's a new series from Feist, and it's not Rift War related, so I'm hoping, since he's forced to create a new world and a bunch of new characters, that it'll be as good as some of his early stuff, because his later stuff relied on what he had done before for appeal, rather than putting in the work to make new interesting characters. Rant over. The Age of the Five series by Trudy Canavan. I really liked The Magician's Guild, and I've always been drawn to these covers. I really like bright covers and, you know, girls in pretty dresses. I don't know much about the series, but I think I'm going to really love the old classic fantasy feel from them. Orphans of Chaos by John Wright. I think the storyline for this sounds so interesting, but it does not have a lot of good ratings on Goodreads, so I'm going to read it anyway, but I really hope that I'm the anomaly who just absolutely loves it. Path of Fate by Diana Farrow Francis. This series almost won for book club, so I might be bumping it up in a few months if someone renominates it. One of my top science fiction authors, Julie Chernita, has a short fantasy series, A Turn of Light. And I love her writing, and I love her creativity, and I can't wait to see how she applies that to a fantasy world. Devin Monk, continuing the Age of Steam series I mentioned earlier. Bronze Gods by Anna Guire. I think there's 2 books in the series. I don't know if it was meant as 2 or if she just stopped writing them, but I've had these on my list forever, and the author, when she is really on for me. So I'm hoping this is one of the better ones. Jacqueline Carey's Santa Olivia. She's most known for her Crucial series, but I also have her Agent of Hell urban fantasy trilogy, and I really liked that one. So the only unexplored thing from her so far for me. I would like to finally finish the Runelord series, but it's probably going to require a reread. I think the first time I read them I was 16 and made it to book 4, because that's all that was published at the time, and he has since finished the series, so I would like to go back and start from the beginning. Spiderlight by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This author has been all over my radar for a couple of years, and I have not read anything from him yet, so I'm really hoping to start with something like this, or possibly Guns of Dawn. I've had that personally recommended to me, and I think based on what I've heard that this author and I will really get along. The Wizard Hunters by Martha Wells, the author that's responsible for The Cloud Roads, really cool world building series, and Murderbot Diaries. And I've saved this book for years, even before I knew I liked the author, because of the first line. It says, "It was 9 o'clock at night, and Tremaine was trying to find a way to kill herself that would bring in a verdict of natural causes in court when someone banged on the door." I'm interested. I have a few books by Carol Berg, specifically the Son of Avenar book. I've had this on my shelf for a while, and I know nothing about these books, but I'm hoping, since she's prolific, that they're actually pretty good, but I'm kind of terrified that they're going to be a bust. This is kind of random, but they reminded me of Kristen Britton's The Green Rider, because they sat similar next to each other on the shelves for so long, and I picked up that one and ended up not liking it. So I'm worried that just from like proximity that these aren't going to be as good as well. Readers are weird, especially me. The Sword of Change trilogy. The first one's Devlin's Luck by Patricia Bray. I've been saving these for a rainy day because I feel like I'm really going to like them, but time will tell. Last but not least, maybe least, because this is a priority list, The Mirror Prince by Violet Milan. I know nothing about this. Picked it up when I was working as a bookseller and was buying everything that looked compelling. I really could go on. There are so many other books on my list that I'm excited to read, and you can see why. It has been a lot of fun to put them in highest priority because I can sit there and stare at all of the books that I have deemed worthy of immediate attention, and picking out my next read has never been this fun. And then watching them slowly disappear as I read through them, very satisfying. I'm one of those people who really needs to like check the box off when I finish something to feel like I actually accomplished it. But did you see anything, especially in the last half of that lineup, that you think I should bump up in the priority list? I'm probably going to update my overflowing bookshelf challenge on Goodreads and see what I can do over the next 6 months. I've never been so set up for success as I am right now, so I'm going to run with that momentum. I would like to do a part 3 to this saga where I talk about the books that I am least interested to read in my collection and get some feedback, hopefully, on whether or not I should keep them or donate them. Because when I was setting up the system, I mean, you can see the little sticky notes here. I had them in order of priority, and I had a sticky note for a section of books that I don't want to read at all, which should be a no-brainer, like get rid of all the books that I don't think I want to read. But all you book people know there's an anxiety there, like, what if I get rid of them and then find out that they were actually really good books? So y'all are gonna help me. But I will say that that video is probably a long way out. I would like to see if I can read through a bunch of these titles first to integrate books in that way. And after 6 months, if I still need to make room, then we will do the part 3. And probably no one will remember that there was a part 1 or 2, so I'll probably just approach it fresh then, but whatever. Thank you so much for joining me on what turned out to be a mini bookshelf tour. I look forward to updating you on my progress, hearing some feedback, and I hope to catch you next time. Bye.